Welcome to Joy Learning TV. Now today in an in-focus segment, we'll be talking about a very sensitive topic, which is street children, the children on the street. Now, despite ongoing efforts by stakeholders and advocacy groups, the issue continues to raise questions about child welfare, access to education, and then social protection. Now, joining me in studio is the project assistant of Starlight Foundation, Obed Sian Osei, to have a conversation on street children and also how we can make sure that, we take them out of the street and make them better. Obed, thank you so much for joining us on Joy Learning.
You're welcome.
So now let's talk about street children. We try to always get them out of the street, but they still come back. Why?
Thank you for your question. With that one, from where we sit as an organization, we see them in three ways. When we talk about street connected children, so we are looking at those that are actually born on the street, so they're actually in the street. So they have their families and whatever that they do, their everyday lifestyle, their lived experiences, everything on the street. And then we have those on the street. So with them, we are saying that they have families in their houses, but then maybe per one or two situations such as poverty or something, they would have to come to the street and hustle to get something for their family, and then they'll go back to the street. And then we have those that are at risk of going to the street. So we see them as they are prone to coming into the street. And so as Starlight Foundation, we have something called the early intervention. So we believe in the fact that before we can actually solve a problem, then we must first-hand prevent the problem from happening. That's why we go into schools and then educate these young ones about streetism. So in our quest of eradicating streetism here in Ghana, it has been a very, very challenging one, but I think social welfare and then other social departments are also trying. So yes, we are doing our best.
Okay. So talking about challenges, what are some of the challenges these street children face that other kids may not even realize?
And so yes, the very rampant exploitation that these people are getting, sexual abuse, people, and then let's say the stigma and discrimination. Yeah, we all have assumptions about these vulnerable kids on the street, and so yes, these are the major challenges they face. And then we see them to be beggars, others also see them to be armed robbers and all that. Yes.
Okay, so as a society, how can we do better in protecting, the children who live on the street?
Yes, and so as a society, I think it's a mandate for each and every one of us to help in protecting these people. So we realize these street connected children are people with potentials. So it's more like they haven't had persons to actually look at the skills they possess, the talent they have, and what actually we can get from them as a nation. And so it's actually our mandate. So looking at, let's say, Starlight Foundation, looking at our executive director, for instance, he once found himself on the street, but then, yes, through hard work, dedication, and then even during his time, he had no one to be his mentor, but then through hard work, education, and then some kind of support from one or two persons, he has actually grown up to become someone prominent here in the nation. And he's actually doing things that are, so he's actually using himself as a beacon of hope for such people. So if we don't protect them, we may be missing on a lot actually. Yeah, okay. So it's actually our mandate to do that.
So let's talk about Starlight Foundation. So as an organization, what are you doing to ensure that we tend to curb streetism in Ghana, especially in Accra?
All right. So Starlight Foundation is a charitable organization, as you all know. We are envisioned to create a world of hope where every child can live up safely, very healthy, free from threats, and then they'll be able to maximize their potentials. So we do this kind of empowerment through education, advocacy, comprehensive skill support. So as part of all these things, we have projects that actually come hand in hand with all that we do. Our day-to-day activities in the organization, and some of the projects are the Mensome Kahubi, equi access. So to talk about a few, maybe I'll talk about Mensome Kahubi and then equi access.
Okay.
So with equi access, we are saying that we have street-connected children here in Ghana that I can't say, or I won't say they are entirely excluded when it comes to access to justice, but then when they are actually in conversation, or these people are to be discussed, we see that they are most often they are excluded when it comes to access to justice, I mean rights. And so as part of our project, which is the Equi Access, we want to bridge that gap where street connected children will also be included when it comes to access to justice. And then you have the Minsume Kahubi. So with the Minsume Kahubi, we are saying that single mothers, not only single mothers, but then let's say single parenting, these people have a whole lot of mandates upon themselves to bring up children. So they are doing all these things alone, taking their awards to school, taking care of their families. And so from where we sit as an organization and then working closely with key partners such as Adam for Ghana, we tend to provide a skill set training for these single parents. And then Starlight, in its capacity, will give the beneficiaries of this training, I mean the awards. We are going to give them scholarship. And so while we are taking care of their children in school, let's say a year scholarship, we expect that the skill set that we've been given as a parent, you actually maximize on it and then make some profit, so that when the scholarship ends, you'll be able to continue from there. So these are some of the few things we are doing just to curb the streetism. Yeah.
I mean, the two projects you just mentioned, I know that putting it together would be very difficult.
Yes, please.
And there'll be challenges. What are some of the challenges that you faced in running that particular project, and how long was it?
So with the Equi Access, which has come to stay, it was sponsored by the CSC Consortium for Street Children. So as we speak now, it's going into a year and a half. Let me put it that way. So we started, and it has been a fruitful one, as that where we first engage. We do community piloting, and then we engage stakeholders in the community, and then we put to them what we actually want to establish in the society. And so once they accept, we work closely with key departments and then agencies like the SHRAJ, NCC, and then even the opinion leaders in the community. So they first hand get the knowledge. We from where we sit, we have our approaches to how we establish projects in a society, and as part of it is what we call the community engagement. So with the stakeholder engagement, that's what we do. So when they first get the first-hand knowledge of what we want to do, they actually help us. So with the Equi Access that I'm talking about, the stakeholders, let's say teachers, assemblymen, opinion leaders in the community, they first got the legal, we held a legal awareness workshop for these people. And then one of the challenges is that the street connected children that we are talking about as being discriminated, they are facing stigma, and then they don't even have access to child legal sensitive staffs. We first give them that legal awareness. Lack of knowledge, they say is I mean, so if they give them that legal awareness, when we have the legal awareness workshop, actually, we intend to advocate more on rights and their responsibility, so that when how should I put it, when their rights are being violated or something, yes, they will have a referral pathway. I mean, the adults in the community can be trusted. They can actually go in there to report some cases, and then yes, so that's what we do. So most of the challenges that we face is the fact that these people, they lack knowledge on their rights. And then again, one of the challenges that we face, even though some of them are educated, let's say those in schools, they are educated, even though they know about their rights and then their responsibilities, when their rights are being infringed upon, the most trusted people that we can actually, that they can actually help in handling such cases, they are seen to be the perpetrators of it. Yeah, so that's one of them. So to curb that one, Starlight Foundation in its capacity brought up an anonymous referral pathway, such that if the trusted adults that you can report to is seen to be the perpetrator, then we, from where we sit, you can come to us and then do some reporting anonymously, where yes, we put it up to agencies that can take up your case and then deal with it.
Okay, so you mentioned that you've been collaborating with the agencies such as SHRAJ and other agencies. How has the collaboration been like? And also, what are some of the challenges in collaborating with these people, maybe the traditional authorities and then people who play a key role in ensuring that we curb streetism?
All right, so some of the challenges are that because it's more of an advocacy and an educational campaign, there are moments, you know, we all have notions and assumptions about some stuff. So let's say we want to put right education and the responsibilities out there. They think we are actually giving them or polluting their minds as to, you know, in a traditional setting, every child they say must be respectful and all that. And so if we have a way, we all know that right comes with responsibility. But then when one knows his or her right and then maybe you try to infringe upon and the person tries to defend himself or herself, these people see it as though they don't respect and all that. So it's more like we are coming to pollute the fundamentals, that's the respectful behavior and demeanor that they expect from children in our society. Yeah.
Okay. So I know recently, I don't know if it's been celebrated or not, the International Day of the Street Child.
Yes, IDSC, International Day for Street Children. Yeah.
So has it been celebrated already?
Yeah, it has been celebrated. That was April 12th.
April 12th. Yes. Oh, great. And so what did the organization do to mark that day?
So when it comes to IDSC, it's actually it's a global celebration actually for these people. It's a day that we've set aside for street connected children. So all that we do as an organization is that even though we are trying our best to take these people out of the street, we are saying the assumptions that we'll be having about these people, the vulnerable ones, if they are actually given the platform to amplify their own voices, then we can actually see what's the problem at hand and then what they are actually facing. Because from where we sit, we can make assumptions about them and then, but their lived realities of these people is way more than what we actually assume. And so we give them the platform, they voice out their concerns, and then organization as ours also, so it's not being done by Starlight alone. So social welfare, other NGOs, they all celebrate these days. And so we take the voices of the vulnerable ones and then the street families, and then we put it to authorities, and then we see if there are some interventions that can be done to help these people. Yeah, so that's what we actually do. Okay.
So I mean, looking at the country, Ghana, looking at what we are doing currently, do you think that we are doing enough to curb streetism?
Yes, we're actually doing enough to curb it. But the problem is, yes, people, as you rightly said, it's more like we are actually fighting streetism, but yet we are seeing more of them on the streets.
So the reason why I asked that question was that, you know, sometime back the government decided that the foreign kids on the street, they will be taken back to their country. But then again, after they were taken back, after a week, we still saw them on our streets, and so that's what I'm asking, if we are doing enough. Is it that the policy, we are not achieving the result that we want, or maybe there's a gap in what we want to achieve?
Yes, there's a gap actually, and then the gap is we are solving the symptoms of it instead of actually going into the root cause. Okay. I mean, what's actually happening. So let's say the government actually takes these people from Ghana. It could be that these ones or these vulnerable ones are coming into the country because they are faced with a kind of let's say security threats and all that in their country. So they are actually escaping from that into this country because they can see that they are finding peace here. And so if you drive them back, it is more like you are also sending them to the same conditions that brought them into the country. You get it? Yeah. And so, and then not just that alone, but people also, even here in our country, people from the north, people from other regions, they have this notion that maybe when we come into Accra, yes, here we can actually make money. So it depends on the kind of friends they associate themselves with and all that. And so these kind of conversations actually goes on, and then, yes, it brings more of street people here into the country. So to actually dive into the root cause of this, that's where we as Starlight, we start with advocacy, education. That's what we call the early intervention approach. So we visit schools, we visit communities, we actually enlighten them, we broaden their minds on the factors of streetism, not just streetism alone. We all know that streetism, okay, it can be caused by so many factors, poverty and other, to mention a few amongst others. But then we have something we call the online exploitation, abuse, and then even mental health. So we do the education across board.
Okay, so someone may ask, can streetism be entirely, prevented? Or can it be stopped entirely if, let's say, government set a timeline, or we decide that, okay, in the next 10 years, we are going to eradicate streetism? Is it possible?
So it's actually, so even though we want to eradicate this, we cannot do away with process. So we have to go through the process, and then so I would say that if statistically 90% streetism cases can be solved, they can be solved. They can be solved both by individual citizens and then these social departments, and then those that are actually in charge of working with these cases. It can be solved such that when we see these people on the street, some are being seen as beggars. And so if they come begging, and then we also actually give them money, they tend to see what they are doing as more like a work or a job.
But if you don't give them money too, it's like you're being wicked. It's like the child doesn't have food, right? The child doesn't have food, but you are trying to support the child. You are telling me not to give the child money.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So if we always give them money, it's more like we are actually we are conforming to what they are doing. In a sense that if Monday I come and then maybe I do begging and I get 50 cedis. Tomorrow I'll come, let's say Tuesday, I get 100 cedis. I'll see it to be a work for myself. But then if the citizens are able to identify these people, and then let's say I'll report to, we have department that actually deal with people. So if we report to them, these are the situation of these ones. What actually can we do to help them? Some can be put into schools. They'll go and then they'll get education. Others too, because of, let's say, their stature, the kind of hard work they've passed through, and then they have skills. We can give them that skill set training. So if they are actually doing something for themselves, there will be no need for you to return to the streets whilst you are getting something.
But some people too are using it as a form of business, whereby they traffic their kids.
Good.
Take them to the streets, and then when they beg for money, they bring the money back to them. They give them something when they take the rest.
That's what I'm saying. So we as citizens, we are not helping. And then again, those that are actually helping to
but sometimes it's sad. You see the the child. The child is hungry. The child is not eating, and it's emotional. They're asking you for, oh, can I get some 1 CD to buy water to drink?
I get it, but then to help the nation as a whole, we have measures in place to help these people. So Shraj, and as I said, other departments are there that actually work on these cases, and so when we see them, we report to these people. I mean, the department that I'm talking about, when we report to them, they will, per their interventions that they've brought up, they would actually know where to put these people just to help them make a living, and then, I mean, make a survival.
Okay, so how can the students, learn about their rights and also speak up if those rights are being infringed upon?
Yes, so as I said, we have one of our projects which is called Equi-Access. So ultimately, all that we want to do is that we actually include these street-connected people in our legal system. Okay. And so by doing so, we come up with legal awareness workshop where institutions that are, such as the NCC, DOFSU, police, we collaborate with them, we move into schools, the communities, wherever there are social gatherings, we give them this first-hand knowledge about their rights and then their responsibilities. And then we show them how they can go about rights violations and all that. So it first comes with education. When these people are educated, and then, I mean, their rights are not being infringed upon. Yes, they know their rights, they know the responsibilities that they are to perform. Okay. And so when you give them that education, yes, they can know. And then I'm very happy in our social studies, in our educational system, we have a section for these things.
Okay. Apart from the education aspect, some people do not know, or they don't think that there's nothing wrong with my child going on the street to beg. How do we also tackle such perception? Because they can even tell their child to willingly go on the street to go and beg so they can get something to eat and bring some home. So it's like a job.
Yeah, I get it. So it's more like a behavioral patterns of some families. Yes, I get it. So that's what I'm saying. When families are being catered for, that's the root cause I'm talking about. Not even just the symptoms as to always focusing on these children, but then the families themselves. So if government makes ways and then cater for these families, yes, and I think, yeah, the problems that we are facing is actually going to be reduced.
Okay, so let's go back to the Starlight Foundation and your project. What else are you doing, or what are your plans for this year, or future project that you would like to talk about?
Good. And so this year we've actually started. We have the Teach Them Young. That commemorates my point on the early intervention. All that we say is that we go to schools, we visit schools, not just in Accra, but then Eastern region, across the system regions here in Ghana, and then we give them education on streetism, dangers of streetism, factors of streetism. So we have the Teach Them Young, we have the Let Her Know. So we know we all have assumptions when it comes to menstrual hygiene and then productive health of a girl child here in Ghana. So Starlight, in its capacity, has also taken it upon themselves to give these people education about it. You know, in a form of empowering the females. Yes, we do that through our Let Her Know initiatives. And then we have the Equi-Access, which is actually running to, so we want to bridge the gap where legal system will also be accessible to street-connected children, not just the children, but then the families and everyone as a whole.
Okay.
And then we have the Minsobe Kahumbi, which is here to, which is here to be executed. Yes. So I spoke a little about it, where we give parents, single parents actually, we give them a skill set, and then we take their wards to school on a scholarship, and then we expect that the skill set that they've received whilst their child or their wards are on scholarship, we expect them to work with it, make a living out of it, so that when the scholarship cycle ends, they can actually get some funds to continue with these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just before we wrap up, what are some of the things that we can do to support what you guys are doing?
So, you know, as an NGO, we are not working under government, so we actually need sponsorship and then partnership. In any kind, it could be resources, I mean money, it could be availability, personnel, so more like volunteers. We are actually, our doors are actually open, and so if anyone is watching us and then would want to sponsor, yes, our doors are open. We are at Adenta SDA or Sword House, third floor, you find us there. And then if you want to maybe support through Momo, yes, we can actually put our number out there.
You can.
So Starlight Foundation has the mobile contact to be 0593 535 826. 0593 535 826. And so our doors are always opened.
Okay.
Yes.
What about your social media handles?
Our social media handles are actually working.
Okay.
So we are both on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and then the Starlight Foundation. Yes.
Okay. But thank you so much. And so that's all for our News in Focus segment today. And we'll be discussing streetism. And I've been having a conversation with Obed Sian Osei. He's the project assistant at Starlight Foundation. And as we end today's discussion, we all have to remember that every child deserves to be safe, treated fairly, and heard. And so it's not about punishing children or making them feel bad, but it's about protecting them and also supporting them. I am Nicholas Eko Yama. Thank you so much for watching. And it's a wrap for EduNews 360. Thank you so much for watching. And we also continue to monitor developments surrounding this year's WASSCE. And also we wish every student taking part success as they await their results. Thank you so much for watching. I am Nicholas Eko Yamwa. Enjoy the rest of our programs.